and welcome to the second in a series of 4 videos from the OU Library for Freshers Fair 2018 September-October. So my name is Catherine Moore. I am a librarian at the Open University Library. Today we are going to be talking about library search. Now, the reason we are going to be talking about library search is on the 8th of August, we made some changes to how it looks. So first of all, what library search is. Library search is the search box that you will see on the library website, and it searches across the vast majority of all the items that we subscribe to on your behalf. So if you do have any questions during this session, please let us know, and my colleague, the lovely Manda, will relay them to me and I will do my best to answer them. So, coming back to library search, on the 8th of August, as I say, we launched a new look for the tool, and today I just wanted to have a quick sort of catch up about what's changed and why we've changed what we have changed, and where you can get any help should you need it. So there are about kind of 5 major changes with the look of the tool. So number 1, if you used the tool before the 8th of August, you would have seen a tool that was more cluttered. There isn't really a more polite way to say that. There was just a lot more stuff. Whereas with the new tool, it's much more slimlined. The colour scheme also reflects that. So previously it was quite yellow and blue with a bit of white, and we've now gone for something that's much more blue and white and essentially easier to move around, easier to see where to click. There are also a couple more screens with this version of library search, which does actually mean there is more space for you to see how to navigate around the tool. So that's thing number 1. Change number 2, the personal area within library search used to be called My Bookshelf. That same area is still there. You can still add things to your own lists of items you want to read, etc. But that is now called My Favourites, to bring it in with browser tools that you might be more familiar with, and to add something to your My Favourites area, you simply click the pin. And again, to access that My Favourites area, you click the pin at the top of the screen. So, change number 3. The previous version of library search essentially gave you a preview of all the results that you had loaded, and that was how you got into the full text of any item that you wish to read. Now that could make the lists really quite long and cumbersome, and we found that not all of our resources would load in that preview window, and we knew from feedback that unfortunately some students would get lost and not quite understand how to get into the thing that they'd found, which is really unfortunate. So the new search, what it does is, instead of giving you a preview window within your search, if there's something you want to read, you simply click on its title, and then more information about that resource will appear on top of your results. And also within this more information overlay, what you have is a link to the full text of the item, as well as enough information so that you can work out whether it's likely to be relevant to you. And then it is also really obvious in the new tool how to remove that information and get back to your search results. So change number, I must admit I've lost where we are. Change number 4. Our journals holdings information is now lots more obvious, for want of a better word. In our previous tool, it wasn't always clear the access the library was giving you in terms of coverage in years for certain journal titles. and that was really unfortunate, but something that we weren't able to change in the last version of the tool. However, in this version of the tool, it is completely clear whatever journal that you wish to access, which years that the library has available for you to look at. Okay, and last but not least, change number 5. In the new version of the search, we have something called a resource recommender. So if you are searching for something via an acronym, so for example, looking for the Oxford English Dictionary and you search for the OED, we can use the resource recommender to appear at the top of your search results and say, hey, we think you might be looking for the Oxford English Dictionary, if so it's here. And that resource recommender has proved really popular and really helpful to us. So those are kind of like the big changes. Moving on to what hasn't changed. So the actual tool itself hasn't changed. All we've literally changed is the look of it so that the tool is easier to navigate. So the tool will find exactly the same things as it did before. It will find them in the same order, and in terms of what it can search across for the library collections, that is exactly the same. It's reasonable to think that it would be a new tool because it does look really rather different to the old look, but it is exactly the same tool. So given that it's the same tool, I also wanted to talk about, well, why have we bothered to make these changes? And partly that was, we were aware that there were some issues with using the previous version in Library Search, and we wanted to make it better for you. We wanted it to be really clear how to be able to access all the lovely library content that you can with Library Search. And whenever you do anything like that to, especially an existing product, it's incredibly nerve-wracking because you're changing something people are already using. And with this project, there were 2 things that made that much easier. So the first one was this time we had the luxury of being able to test with you wonderful students. We did get some volunteer students who used Library Search whilst we were watching them digitally, and they were talking us through why they were clicking what they were clicking, and that did mean that we then had enough information to go, these parts of Library Search are working, these parts aren't, and then improve it for you, which was great. We also have the luxury this time of still being able to give you access to the previous look of Library Search, and if you go into Library Search and do a search, you will see a link that says Return to Classic View, and we kept that in because we know we do have some students that, although most of you this time of year are new students and it's lovely to see you all and be really busy with all your inquiries at this exciting time of year, but we do also have a small number of modules that will be ending in the next couple of months, and essentially this would mean that we were making a change for Library Search for those students, and they only had a couple more months and then their module was finished. So essentially we've kept that for those students so that they can go back and use the version that they know if they so wish. But I essentially would recommend using the new version. We have had an awful lot of positive feedback from students about it. Having said that, there is obviously help available. There is no way we would make a change like this and not want to get your feedback and make sure we can help you as much as possible. So that help is in the form of we are running questions and answer sessions using Adobe Connect, and unlike most of our training, that is literally you come with your questions and say, hey, I'm using Library Search, but I have this problem, and a librarian will answer them for you. But obviously that will be in a group setting. So the next one of those is this evening, and I am hosting it at 7 o'clock, and you can find all the details of how to attend that on the library website on the training and events page. If you do have any questions about Library Search and you're free this evening, please come along to that. I would love to see you. We also have a more general training session. So we have a training session that is called Using Library Search for Your Assignment, and that goes through the basics of using Library Search, and that's much more along the lines of our normal training sessions where you have a librarian and they will talk you through and you'll do activities together. And the details of those again can be found on the library website on the training and events page. And obviously the third place you can give us any feedback and ask any questions is our wonderful, wonderful help desk. So our library help desk is available 24/7 for web chat, and of course you can contact us by email and telephone as well. And the contact details for the library help desk are on every single page of the library website, because if you have a question, we really, really, really want to hear it. Okay, so that was all I wanted to say about Library Search. Thank you so much for listening. I also wanted to say that this, as I said at the start, this is the second in a series of 4 videos. My wonderful colleague Uti will be talking about the library training sessions that we offer on the 2nd of October at 12:30. And the equally lovely Jude will be talking about Sconnell Access on the 4th of October at 12 o'clock. If you did miss my colleague Greg and Matthew talking about the library help desk, then that video can be found on the library's YouTube channel and will very shortly be put on the library training and events page, which is where this will end up too. So thank you very much for listening, and bye for now.